Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's hard to believe, but it is Thursday already. You're almost through the week. It is August 15th. We're almost through the summer. I'm Jenny Guy. I'm the marketing manager for Mediavine. We provide full service ad management for content creators. And if you aren't aware, if you haven't been looking at your calendar closely, you wouldn't know, but the countdown to Labor Day is on. And it means that our second annual Summer of Live is winding down. Sad face. I know. Not to worry, though. After today, we've still got 2 more episodes left, and we are spending all of our last few weeks on, and all of our energy, all of our time, all of our content is to giving you as many monetization strategies and tips as we possibly can. Just to give a little shout out here, over 1,000 of you have already watched last week's episode on affiliate marketing, which is super exciting. And I have got a black eyed peas kind of feeling that this week's episode will top those numbers. Because why? Because we are talking about the topic to end all topics for anyone looking to earn in the digital space. There's one acronym to rule them all: SEO, search engine optimization. Whether you're filled immediately with excitement or dread, the word SEO gives every influencer all the feels. I've got 2 amazing guests here that are going to drop all their knowledge on you and make you an SEO ninja in no time. So I'm going to start introducing them now. I'm so grateful that they're here. First, Morgan McBride is a Mediavine publisher with Charleston Crafted, where she and her husband Sean blog about crafting their dream home in Charleston, South Carolina. They've been blogging since 2012, but often felt like their traffic was falling into that big black hole of the internet, never to be seen or heard from again. After joining Mediavine in August of 2018, happy 1 year, Morgan. Hey. Morgan dove headfirst into learning about SEO strategy. She has more than tripled Charleston Crafted's organic search traffic in less than a year, and it continues to grow. She also recently launched her simple SEO keyword research course that helps bloggers pick the best keywords to target for SEO sources. We will talk about that a little bit more later. And one of her primary resources that she uses for SEO education is co-hosted by my next guest, who I will introduce here in 1 second. Morgan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this for weeks. I'm excited to be here.
Yay, we're so happy. I've been looking forward to it too.
You're sweet.
My next guest is the co-host and co-creator of the Theory of Content podcast. He's also an SEO expert from way back in the day. In fact, he started his career as an SEO consultant for hire and is now the director of marketing for Alarm Grid. He has worked to optimize the sites for numerous brands, including Dollar Days, Brasmith. I have questions. We'll address that later. TuneCore, Greensbury Meats, ING Direct, Unilever's Making Life Better Properties, Tonight in RI, and more. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
I'm not even on a podcast. Hello, Josh.
Hello.
How are you?
You know, it's funny to hear all the names of those projects, because I haven't worked on in many of those for, I don't know, 10 years now, I think. So it's very, I got to update my resume. But it's funny because, you know, those back in the day felt like really big deals. And now maybe many of those brands aren't even around. It's interesting.
I do have a lot of questions about Brasmith, and I did take your bio directly from LinkedIn.
Yeah, I should probably update.
You might want to update that. There,
oh, yeah. So Brasmith was a website that sold bras.
I assumed that was probably a safe assumption.
For more bosomy people.
Good. And I'm sure there was so much keyword research that you did, and
it was the weirdest project I was ever on, because I would spend my entire day on a website of women in bras, and it was very, very different than any of the other projects. But yeah, so does that answer your questions?
It does. And
okay.
Well, all the questions that I'm going to ask now, or that anyone might want to know about on our Suitable for Work show.
Yeah.
So moving forward, thank you both for being here. If you guys have questions, SEO questions, site specific, general, whatever you've got, put them in the comments. I'll make sure that I ask both Morgan and Josh, and we'll get you the answers. But let's start at the very beginning here with my series of questions, which is a very good place to start. What is your relationship to SEO? Where did you gain your expertise, and why did you decide it was important to invest time into it? And I'm going to go ahead and start with Josh there.
Okay, so in college, I actually started playing with internet stuff. I was in college when Google IPO'd and had a fascination with how it is that people get traffic to their websites. So I started with a couple of things. I was actually playing with one of those conservative news, college conservative news websites, and a Christian magazine website that I basically got to you throw WordPress up and like practice on. And that was kind of the first two websites that I got to play with. And then after college, I started applying. I really enjoyed it. I was reading every SEO thing. I'd made all of the SEO mistakes I could possibly do. I destroyed traffic on both sites multiple times, and had been reading tons and tons of resources, whether it was Moz or SEMrush. All of these tools and resources were pretty much around even then. And I remember I applied to a number of jobs, including MSNBC, where I was nearly given a job as a producer, but instead I got a job as a marketer in an agency called the JAR Group in New York, where I got to work on projects for a lot of like corporate entities, doing sort of the understudy with a guy named Matt Lurkey, who was a great SEO. I don't think that he's doing SEO anymore, but he sort of showed me the ropes, brought me in. He was a former big agency. The JAR Group was a small agency. He was a big agency guy. I was actually surrounded by big agency people in this small agency. They'd actually left to start sort of a boutique firm. And I learned everything I could possibly learn about SEO there, and went on to do my own thing here at Alarm Grid. So I've been doing that now. I've been doing SEO stuff now for the better part of about 11 years.
All right, we'll accept those qualifications, and then right after we get off, you're gonna jog straight over to your LinkedIn and update with some of that information, because that was pretty fascinating, Josh, and not at all reflected on your LinkedIn. So we've got people that are very, very. We're gonna take Morgan here in a second. Everyone is shocked to see you, that are listeners to the Theory of Content, which is precisely the response that Morgan had when she came on.
Well, here's the thing: I'm actually a spirit. And when I get on video, I occasionally will put on my body. So yeah, this is me, and this is the form I took today. Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate it. It's much appreciated. So we're hearing Kelly said, "So great to see Josh. I've listened to the podcast for so long now." Amber says the website is going to be updated and you'll be able to see his furry face more often. Jennifer Osborne never pictured you with a beard. In her head, you're clean shaven and much lighter haired, but she said you're fine. So
thank you.
Was
that like you're fine, or was it like you're fine?
I mean, I think you should just infer what you want from that. Jennifer, you don't need to clarify. We're all just making our own assumptions in our brains right now. Okay, Morgan, tell us about your SEO experience, how you got into this.
Yeah, sure. So I, like you said, just got with Mediavine 1 year ago, and I actually hooked up with Mediavine at Haven Conference it was in Charleston last year. It's a DIY blogger conference. Mm-hmm. The year before, I met Heather from Mediavine, but someone from another ad agency, we'll say sounds like Schmad Schmive, told me not to sign with Mediavine, just wait until I qualified for them, which was a big mistake. He said I would make no money. Here I am making money. So my pants on fire. Here I am with Mediavine. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I signed with Mediavine, I got into the Facebook group. And that's where all these wonderful people are talking about SEO. It had never occurred to me before. We had been blogging since 2012. Yeah. We had so much content. And it was all just falling into a black cliff. You would post it on Facebook and my mom would click on it. You put it on Pinterest and maybe somebody would see it. But all this content was just falling into Never Land. So I really got excited about the idea of giving things more of an evergreen life and writing content with a purpose, which is what has really transformed our blog. And SEO and Mediavine has changed my life. In October, I had a baby and I went on maternity leave, and it was unpaid maternity leave, of course, but I was able to take it because of these Mediavine earnings. Then I didn't want to go back to work. Of course, you get 12 weeks off. You have a baby, you get attached. I didn't want to go back.
Which is good. It's a good thing that you got attached.
It was surprising. It was surprising. But my husband said, if you can get your passive income, Mediavine money, to equal what you were making at work after daycare costs, you can quit your job. And that was when I jumped into SEO. I said,
motivation.
Facebook is not doing it for me. Instagram is great, but that's not making me any money. SEO is how I can make money. And dang, it worked. So here I am. I'm a stay-at-home mom / blogger now, and I am so happy. It has changed my life. So I am selling the praises of SEO.
SEO for life. All right. That is a very awesome testimony. And you honestly, like, in 1 year, tripled your traffic.
It's honestly more than that, but I was looking at it today. The graph, it's hard to say how much is attributable to what, but it's great.
Morgan, how often do you blog?
We used to blog 5 times a week. Then we went down to 4, and now we are doing 3. And we have much more success with 3 really good, researched, strategic, planned posts than we did with 5, kind of like just trying to fill out a week.
Yeah, I think that's pretty typical. I mean, I don't think that doing 5 is typical. I think that's atypical. So I commend you for that.
For 5 years. So we have so much content.
5 for 5. So this actually fits in with a lot of our questions from our readers. We had quite a few pop in all at once. Let me look here. Okay, Deborah Cruz asked, should we be updating old posts? Which is actually a great question when we're talking about the 800,000 posts that you guys have on Charleston Crafted. Morgan, do you update all of your old content?
Not all of it. A lot of it, like, this is funny. We found a post today. My husband was looking for something that was about what he had for dinner at Taco Bell one night. And he listed out everything he ate. He's going to hate that I said that. So we did not update that one. Believe it or not.
You didn't want to update with the new. Do you know that they just opened a Taco Bell hotel in Palm Springs, California? That's a thing.
Experiment for a short time, though, right? Like a month. I think they're like opening it for a short time. Or is that like permanent?
I didn't read about the permanency of it. I only read of its existence, and that was enough for me to just click close on that article.
I love Taco Bell.
We'll leave it there. We'll leave it right there. Yeah, we were writing blog.
Morgan and I, we're on the Taco Bell train.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell a story about how you'd updated the Taco Bell post and it like inured to you 10 million new page views.
No, I think it would take an act of God for that one to rank. So that one is gone.
How did you decide what you were going to update?
Yeah.
So the first thing we did was just think of what were good projects that we did that we wish got more eyeballs, that we thought were worthy of more eyeballs. And that was a good way to just kind of make a list. And then the other thing is I dove into Search Console and saw what was ranking and what Google was already giving us some authority on. And that was where I really developed things that I thought could move up, things that were maybe on the 2nd or 3rd page. That was better than starting, ranking where you're number 3,000. Something where you're number 30 is a lot easier to move up the list.
So I'm going to jump in here and then I'm going to ask Josh about his theory with updating old content and how he strategically does that. But someone with the last name of yours, Morgan, it's Sean McBride. You might know that person.
Yeah, he's upstairs with the baby. Yeah.
He is defending the Taco Bell. He's saying that Taco Bell was amazing, but the post was terrible, not the post. So we're glad we're drawing a line between the quality of the food and the quality of the content. Thank you.
Separate content from food.
Yeah, it's a good line to draw. So Josh, talk about updating old posts, because that's something a lot of people, I don't know that they have as a part of their content creation strategy. And I think that it's something that gets overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, it depends, I think, on where you are in the life cycle of your blog as to what you want to do. I mean, like, it sounds to me like I like hearing someone say, when we started, we were doing 5 posts a week. And the reason is because the biggest barrier to entry, I think, in blogging or any sort of business in this world of the interwebs is that nobody makes content. Nobody. No one wants to do it. So if you're making more content than everybody else, kudos to you. And then if what you try is you're like, you know what, we're making 5 posts a week. What we're going to do is we're going to scale it back a little bit and try 3 strategic posts a week. I think that most bloggers are doing 1 post a week. You're doing 3 times more than anybody else. And the beauty of that is if you did that for 3 years?
5 years of 5, a year of 4.
Insane.
Think about it this way. You did 52 weeks a year, 365 days, whatever. So 52, how many posts is that? 52 times 5. I don't do math on air.
A lot
of posts. Let's say
260 posts a year.
To use a word that we were talking about before, that is a shoot ton. A shoot ton of posts.
So it's like you have a base post, a base blog layer of like 900-ish posts that you've put together over the years. And you know what that does is it gives you an amazing set of ranked pages that people have searched. Now, not all of them are number 1. Not all of them are number 2. Not all of them are on the first page. Some of them are on the 10th page. But you know what you can do with that is you can go to Google Webmaster Tools. you can start looking at the keywords that you're ranking for, and you can start making more strategic decisions about what you're going to do in the future. So I like to hear that you did a huge amount of work at the beginning. I think that's phenomenal. And I think that it lets you be more strategic in the future when you decide to sort of scale that back. I think that's incredible. And so when you look at posts that are old and you want to maybe update them, what I do is I have a little bit of a process. I go through like Google Analytics. I'm going to look at which posts are maybe most visited, and go look at them and see if there's something that either I can do to expand the post or something I can do to make it a little bit better. And I'm going to go to Webmaster Tools, also take a look at maybe some of the keywords that I'm not ranking really well for and that have a lot of traffic. I'm going to go into Google Analytics and find those posts and then, see what kind of traffic I'm missing, what the opportunity is. And then I'm going to go and update those posts to start making them a little bit better as well. And the reason that you do the first ones, I mean, those are probably going to be high ranking posts, the ones that are getting a lot of traffic. You want to make sure that you're out competing people who are below you and continue to outcompete them. And what you do with the posts where there is a lot of traffic and you want to get some of that traffic because you're ranked low is you update it so that you can compete better with the people above you.
Excellent.
And if you do that, you'll start building traffic in amazing ways.
That's a byproduct that we would all like to have happen. So we have got so many questions flowing in, and it's so quick. First of all, Deborah Cruz also wants to know, does Joshua do SEO audits? I need to find someone.
I don't generally advocate audits. Audits are expensive. And and here's the thing about SEOs. SEOs are paid to find things that are wrong with your site. So you give me a website, you go to my website, you're going to find things that are problems. And an SEO will tell you that if you fix these problems, then you will get trillions and billions of new people coming to your site. But the truth is that the only real solution to getting new traffic is to do more content. And there's other things you can do to make it easy on Google, to make Google like you a little better, to rank your website up on those maybe not, last 4 or 5 spots. Like maybe you'll be ranked 5th. How do you get to number 1? I mean, it's hard. There's no guarantees, but if you want a better chance of being ranked high, you need to make sure your website's fast. You need to make sure that, you're updating regularly. All these little things, those little changes that SEOs make might help with those sort of like the final lift. But if you want to rank, if you want to know what to rank for, you just got to make content. And that's the part that most people have trouble with. So you can do your own SEO audit. There's a lot of real simple ways. We actually have a show with Theory of Content on how to self-audit yourself. Self-audit yourself. And you can go ahead and do that using Google's documentation. Google has all of the stuff that you need, everything. And the little nuanced things that SEOs fight about as to whether they work or not, you can go and read about that. But for the most part, you don't need to. Just get your website ready, do what Google says, and then make content.
And I will say that one of the first things that probably an SEO expert is going to tell you if you have an audit done is that there's a massive problem with your site, and that problem starts with an A, then there's the letter D, and then a plural. A lot of times that is the first thing that an SEO person will say, that the problem with your site is ads.
I didn't get that. I thought I didn't realize you were literally spelling ads. I was sitting.
You didn't realize? Did you think it was a long word? It was a really long word. No, it's literally those 2 letters. It's ads. Yeah, that is usually the first thing that they're going to say the problem is. And luckily, we do a lot of things to make sure that you don't have the slowdown from the ads, and do everything we can to make that possible. Okay, another question. Let's see. Morgan, have you ever had an SEO audit done on your site? Have you ever had a private SEO expert come in?
I am a DIY blogger. I don't pay for stuff. I did it myself.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that.
I listened to that episode probably 3 times of the podcast. And also the Mediavine RPM challenge Google Sheet document is really helpful for specific posts, sort of auditing them.
Love that, and we will share that. We just shared the Theory of Content. Okay, Valerie Behrman says, where do I find the Google tools to audit?
Oh, you want to know like the document itself?
Yeah, the literal place to find those Google tools.
Give me one sec. Google, I'm going to search at Google SEO requirements. Maybe that. There's literally a document, search engine optimization starter guide. That's what you want to Google. And it's on Google's webmaster tools stuff. It's on their own domain, and it's just a long guide that will take you through everything you need to know about how to optimize your own stuff.
You can also do a site speed audit on Google, and that'll give you a lot of tips that in general are just good for fixing your site.
So excellent. We love those DIY learning, and that's going to help you then too when you're not only learning how to optimize existing content, but then moving forward, creating content with that in mind, which you said you're now doing, Morgan, when you're doing purposeful writing as opposed to just writing about Taco Bell or something like that.
There's another thing worth mentioning too, and it's that most of y'all bloggers are using WordPress, and WordPress out of the box pretty much does everything. So, if you're looking at SEO audits, you're looking at, I tell people this all the time. You want me to do an SEO audit? I'll do it for you. I'll charge you $10,000. And what I will do is, and that'll be a month. And what I'll do is I'll sit down with you and we'll come up with a content calendar. And you'll hate paying it, and I won't take. I don't actually want to charge you that, but you can do that yourself. I'm not as good at figuring out what you should write as you are, and a content calendar is 1 article a day. So you'll pay me $10,000 to give you 1 article a day or 1 article a week or whatever the heck it is that you want to do, and you'll be unhappy. So what you need to do is just go do co-schedule or some other thing, use an Excel spreadsheet, and just start creating a calendar of content. And that would be the entirety of what I would do for anybody if I were doing an actual useful audit that was going to grow your traffic.
And so keep making content. We love to hear that. Okay, Will Nichols has now asked this twice, so we're going to answer him before he goes for our lucky number 3. Something I have always wondered, and this is a great question. We hear people debating on this all the time. Should I be removing the date from evergreen content? I want to, but I'm ranking really well at the moment, and I'm kind of terrified it will nuke my rankings.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion that if something is ranking really well for something you want to be ranking for, leave it alone. Just don't do anything with it. And then, like, if it eventually someday it drops, you might want to jump in there and do something about it. But touching content scares me a little bit when it's doing really well, just because Google's a fickle beast.
Does he mean the date in his URLs? So
yeah.
In your URLs. Don't change anything there.
Oh, we had those taken out. And we have only gone up and up since taking those out. So
I think that
correlate it.
If you're starting a blog, I would say don't put the URLs in. But if you've got an old blog,
don't put the dates in your URLs if you're starting out now.
Yeah. If you'd made that decision a long time ago, it doesn't hurt you. It's not as pretty. And there's other problems, like if you update the post in WordPress, I don't think it keeps the old URL. I think it updates it, which is a problem. You'd have to like employ a 301 redirect on that old URL in order to make sure that it's pointed at the right one. And then all of a sudden you end up with this like spider web of redirects and stuff. I don't love that. And if I say that if you have an older blog, you're going to have some legacy stuff that maybe isn't optimal, but it's not gonna kill you to keep it.
So Will is saying no, the date on the page. It's not the URL. He's talking about the date at the top of the page that comes out in the SERPs on Google.
Oh, I mean, I was saying, I mean, if it's ranking number 1, I generally wouldn't touch it. But I doubt the date will affect that ranking. I would bet you could remove it. It wouldn't be a big problem, but I personally wouldn't touch it.
Okay, here's another question that I'm asking for my own edification after hearing a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people that have been blogging for a long time that have a ton of legacy content, like you just talked about, they want to delete a lot of it. They want to get rid of it. They hate it. They say it's ugly. They don't like it at all. They don't even blog about that anymore. What is your philosophy on deleting outdated content? Morgan, start first, then Josh.
Yeah. I'm smiling because I know Josh is going to say don't delete it. Why bother deleting it? In my opinion, we used to do recipes along with some of the Taco Bell, not good recipes. We had like a hamburger salad that looked like you got it at a cafeteria.
Oh.
We had some really bad recipes. Not too many, maybe like 50 total, that we did delete all of them. They got messed up. We had a weird recipe plugin. They weren't ranking. They weren't helping anything. And they got messed up when the plugin, I don't know, they all got really messed up. So we deleted all of those. and I saw no adverse effects, no good effects. I 301 redirected to the home page because there was nothing relevant to direct it to. But we're not really deleting old posts just because they were boring or because they got no clicks. I think that you could do that. I don't think it would ruin your site, but to me, that's a waste of time. And it's going to take, even if you just spend 3 minutes on each one, if you delete 100 things, that's 300 minutes. You could have written some blog posts or, go and seen a movie in that time. That would have been a better use of your time.
The only person that knows they're there are you, and you're the only one obsessing about it at night. Maybe your mom, because your mom liked everything on Facebook when you shared it initially.
Yeah.
Josh, what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm taking a less hardline approach to it than maybe I did at one time, just because of being introduced to bloggers, and they're super passionate about sort of their brand, and these are labors of love for them, and I get that. But I think that Morgan's hitting on it. I think generally going through old blog posts and deleting them is a waste of your time. That's the worst thing I can say at this point. I think if there is an opportunity cost both to the time that you could have spent creating new content, and if any of these old pieces had actual traffic, you're giving up the opportunity cost of that traffic as well. So it's generally, I think, better to keep it. I think that you are not necessarily going to be the best judge of whether Google thinks that the content is good or bad. And what you think might be bad content, Google might not, care one whit about. In fact, I'd almost guarantee if it's a normal length post, they probably don't care at all. So yeah, I think that Morgan's correct. And it's hard for me to criticize someone like Morgan who's doing as much content as she's done. She's done so much content. It sounds like you didn't really stop to delete posts, as like a lot of people use it as an excuse not to do more. Right?
No,
yeah. So if you're using the fact that you have this content on your site and like, I'm going to go delete it and that'll raise my traffic, it's probably not going to raise your traffic at all. It's probably going to have little to no effect. It might even be negative. So for the most part, I advocate people leaving it up. But if you really, really hate it, I'm not going to chastise you if you're continually making content like Morgan has done with her blog.
She's killing it. What's Morgan's site? We referenced it earlier, Ellen Folkman. It is Charleston Crafted. We'll share that link in the comments for you, so you've got that. We don't want anyone to miss Morgan's site. So let's actually just jump in here for a second and talk about I'll share what Will said. Will said, that's good to hear. He was actually talking more about a blanket removal than per post. This is going back to Will's question about removing the dates. So maybe this is something we can do. We do have a question here. I'm going to go back through. Okay, what about backdating a new post? So it's before someone who is ranking number 1. For instance, this is Singh Nickerson. He said, like, I wrote a post yesterday. Someone ranking 1 published in March. Should he predate it to February?
Oh, that'd be a weird thing to do. I don't think Google would give you. I don't think they'd give you a boost for that just because it's first. I think a lot of SEOs will tell you that there is a boost for being first on like a keyword or something like that. There really isn't. Google has a sort of algorithmic boost for new content. A lot of times, like if your content is just released today, you might see a couple keywords. Google tests it. They like give you a little boost on a few things, and if you perform well, then when that boost kind of goes away, they're going to stick you somewhere in those rankings because they want to know if people like your content better than other content that's up there or not. So they'll test you out, but you don't really get a boost for 3-4 months ago. If you really want to outrank them, I'd go look at their post, see what they have in there that you don't have, maybe make some add what they have if there's other information in there, and then maybe add a little bit more so that your post is actually more relevant, better, and better for the searcher who's looking for that post, whatever it is that would be.
And I'm going to toss it to Morgan, and she actually referenced something before we started hitting record, or before I hit record, and she referenced a term that was used. It's a famous term. It's an infamous term around here at Mediavine. She said parboiling when you are trying to increase your ranking, which is something we talk about a lot when we talk about SEO and increasing rankings. Morgan, what did you mean when you referenced your parboiling?
Well, that was a joke.
Yes,
because we were talking about Bob Ross Halloween costumes, and Jenny
really
had the idea of a Bunny Ross
Correct.
And a dog Ross. So I said it could be my parboiling to make a lot of Bob Ross content. But the idea was that Amber on her site wrote a post about
on Food Fanatic.
On Food Fanatic, wrote a post about, I don't know what the foods were. Let's say chicken, parboiling chicken. And it did well. She wanted to do better. So she wrote posts on parboiling carrots, parboiling potatoes, parboiling celery. I don't know what parboiling even is, but I know that she ranks for it. And what she did is, I call it creating content trees. So you would have maybe a main post, how to parboil. And then you're going to have all of these branches that come off of it for carrots and potatoes and chicken and all these things. And what you're going to do is you're going to build that authority with Google. When they think parboiling, they're going to think of you. And so that's what you're really trying to do, is just content that all links together and shows that you know what you're talking about.
When it comes to parboiling, you know your stuff.
Yeah.
Can we actually share that parboiling post? And I will say, you said content trees. Is that what you said, Morgan?
That's what I call it.
That is a much more attractive word and concept than parboiling. So I'm just going to throw that out there as a baseline. We might want to look at content trees, and we're stealing that from you. Josh, can you talk a little bit about content trees and or parboiling, or however you want to refer to it?
Yeah, I mean, at least for us, what it comes down to is when you create a post, you're gonna rank for whatever it is. Like in this case, it was parboiling. Amber I think it was parboiling potatoes that she ranked for.
That was the initial post, yeah.
And in looking at it, I think they looked through Webmaster Tools and discovered that there was a lot of keywords on parboiling generally, whether it was parboiling carrots, parboiling all sorts of different kinds of veggies. And so they did exactly that. They made a ton of content around parboiling, and so they could rank for all of those keywords, thus expanding the number of people that then come to the site on a keyword that's relevant. And frankly, the beauty of content like that is that you've already produced sort of a skeleton for how you want to write those posts. You don't think that a post about parboiling carrots is going to have to be that much different than parboiling potatoes. I assume. I don't really know what parboiling is either. But
guys, parboiling is partially boiling an item, cooking it part of the way.
It's a portmanteau.
Sounds mushy.
I mean, I'm not going to comment on the validity of parboiling or not parboiling. Morgan, that's neither here nor there.
It does sound mushy. But
I did something similar on my blog with barn doors. Yeah. And so I actually went on Google Search Console and looked at what was I already ranking for. And I was ranking for how to build a barn door. And what I like to do, a hot tip in Search Console, is to sort it upside down. So look at the things that you're ranking really, I guess, low for, high numbers. So in the 70s or 80s. And this is looking at my post on how to build a barn door. What was I ranking the worst for? But I was ranking, and I got all these ideas. And what I did is I took those and made blog posts. So how do you mount a barn door? One of the best ones, there's about 6 or 8 of them, but one of the best ones that has sent me traffic, is so surprising, is, can I use a barn door for my bathroom? I wrote a whole blog post about that, and I get traffic every single day from people who want to know the pros and cons of putting a sliding barn door on their bathroom. And it was an easy post to write, and it's just by seeing what Google already sees you ranking for, create that new content. Don't try and put it in your original post to boost it up. Just create a new post.
And there's a lot of ways that you can, I mean, like a sliding barn door in your bathroom, sliding barn door on your living room, sliding barn door. I don't know how many different types of rooms people are looking for sliding barn doors on, but that you could go that direction. You could turn it into a content tree about doors itself, how to put a barn door on your bathroom. Oh, maybe people just want to, like, let's look at all the different kinds of doors people want to put on, how to put a barn door, how to put a regular door, how to put a varnish door. I don't know what kinds of doors there are, but you could
metal
do that
door.
But all on the bathroom. Like, you could focus on the bathroom part of that. And, you do something like this with one type of post. It's a little weird from the content maker's perspective, because you're feeling a little bit like you're making the same type of content again and again. So it can be a little bit monotonous and tedious. But the readers are looking for very specific things. They're looking for, content about barn doors on bathrooms, or, regular doors on bathrooms. I don't know, what other kinds of doors, glass doors on bathrooms. Does someone want a pocket door on a bathroom?
Invisible doors on
a bathroom. And there's probably a bunch of search around all of that stuff, and you'll be able to capture it, and you'll have 50 or 60 posts that you can suddenly do with no problem. And if you're looking at like a content schedule, you start doing that, you can schedule those out a month or 2 months so that you're not doing the same post again and again every month, and just figure out what you can do with all the other content and kind of do exactly the same type of thing.
Yeah, I also use a WordPress plugin called the Ultimate Category Excluder, and I created a category on my site that's just called Exclude. And so if you write a post, you check the box Exclude, and you can just publish it. It does not go on your RSS feed. It does not go on your homepage. I set it so it doesn't push to Twitter, or I usually push them to Twitter actually because nobody is on my Twitter, and Facebook. And then it's out there. Google sees it, but it doesn't go on your feed. So it's not weird if people are like, why is this chick writing so much about toilets all at once? You know, because I do. That's the thing about being a blogger. You have people who come to your site every day, and they will, believe me, they will comment if they think you're doing something strange, posting a lot of weird stuff.
And Morgan, do you view your audience as like twofold? Like you have your loyal readers, and then on the other side you have people that just happen to be there from Google. Is that kind of how you view that?
Yeah. So you have either your Pinterest or your Google one-time visitors, and then you have your loyal readers who primarily get to us via either, some people come straight to the site, but it's either through Facebook, through Instagram, or through a newsletter.
And do you try to convert those one-time readers into loyal readers?
You try sometimes, but most of the time they don't want to be. Like you can try and put a freebie, and that's another hot tip. If you have something that's doing well in SEO, you need to get in there and put a freebie in there hooked up to your newsletter, get their email address, put in big letters, follow me on Instagram, put one thing that has had an amazing conversion for me for these people coming in once off Pinterest or Google is to put in big letters over or under your best picture on the top half of your post, put click here to pin this project to Pinterest.
Yeah. And
hyperlink that to your pin on Pinterest. You have the pin it button, but sometimes people need to be told exactly what to do. And so that's a good way to have that kind of, you're not converting them to a follower, but you're at least getting them to spread the word.
So that in marketing is called a call to action. And I think that people who haven't worked in marketing don't realize how powerful those are. I think everyone wants to think that they don't need those. But the truth is that a percentage of people who let's say like your post, or maybe are just on autopilot for the day, they'll do literally the thing that they're told.
Yep.
So that's why a literal call to action like that is so effective, because you're like, oh, she wants me to do this. This is the action she would like me to take. And I think it's worth taking that action on this post, versus getting there kind of like, oh, I like that post, I'm going to leave now and go.
And I'll do it later, and you could be like me and have 55 different windows open at the same time, and someone buzzes you somewhere else. So yeah, giving them that immediate call to action. And also just letting them know, like, this is what you would like them to do. And they like you. They like the information you're sharing, and they want to do the thing that is going to make you happy or do something good for you that they can do easily. So, yeah. Okay, we have about 800 questions. First of all, people really love the content trees idea. They think it's great. People are defending the merits of parboiling as a cooking technique. So that's also happening in the comments. And then
I'm with you, Morgan. Sounds mushy.
Mushy. Okay. Yeah. Rose Ciders, our very own Rose Cider says, what if you have posts that are ranking that are not what your niche is? I have posts that are not really in my niche, that are sort of, quote, low-hanging fruit as far as search terms, and could be easily optimized to do better. Would you bother trying to create more content or update content in this area that is not your niche, since you are ranking? Or look for only keywords that you're more focused on your niche? Josh, you start. Or Morgan, you start.
I have a good example of this. So fantastic. I have a post on my blog that my blog is about DIY, home decor, home renovation. And I have a post that I wrote. I occasionally get a little lifestyle, and I had an ovarian cyst, and I had my ovary removed while I was pregnant. It was very dramatic, very exciting. And I wrote a blog post about it, believe it or not. And I get so many clicks from that thing. It has nothing to do with anything, but I get so many clicks and so many emails from that. I'm not going to create content trees based off that. That's not a road I want to go down. But what I did do is, about a year later, I made a video. And it is just a video of me kind of like, you can go find it on my blog, look it up, or just me like kind of dramatically telling this story. And I put it on there, monetized, because I make money off these Mediavine videos. I put it on YouTube. YouTube is the #2 search engine, and that sends traffic. I have a lot of things in there, like, if you want to see more details, click over to my blog. And so I think creating a video for something like that is a really easy way to just boost it even more. But I wouldn't make more blog posts if it's something really off topic like that.
Yeah, I think that, so I think there's a couple, content is hard. And I think you have two, like with these niche things, there's a couple of ways to manage it. Number one, I think that you can have like niche drift, where you start in this niche and you kind of slowly expand it, and you expand it by like touching things that are maybe a foot outside of your niche. And then, as that grows, you touch another thing that's another foot outside of your niche. And all of a sudden you started with a blog about margaritas, and now you're talking about airplanes and traveling to Bahrain. So like that's I would call that niche drift or something like that. And then there's the kind of like, off topic niche stuff that you're talking about, these sort of one-off posts that, I think a lot of the bloggers, or a lot of people who are blogging are going to be doing like personal posts. Like you're going to be talking about things that are happening in your life. If those are, I don't know, maybe you're having a baby and you're a food blogger, you might be able to get a lot of content from there and actually do some of these content trees and expand it. But I don't know if you're just writing about the fact that, like you had a fairly traumatic surgery and an event in your life that was probably pretty scary that a lot of people can relate to, but that really ultimately is not what your blog is about. I think that a lot of people will really enjoy that content, but I think you're right. It doesn't necessarily need to be made into more content like that. But I do think it's worth, as a blogger, exploring the niche drift part of this, where you're saying I'm this big, because there's only so much traffic. There's only so many people looking for strawberry margaritas each day. So if you start a blog about strawberry margaritas, you might want to move into pineapple margaritas. I don't really drink, to be honest. I don't really like other kinds of margaritas.
It could be because you're drinking strawberry margaritas only, and that's
I started with strawberry margaritas, and then the pina colada. I just kind of went, too sweet. Yeah. But you can expand that. And then all of a sudden, like 2 years later, you're looking at it like, you know what? We started at strawberry margaritas, but now we have nothing but, like we do a huge drink catalog. We've got tons and tons of recipes. We do old fashions, etc. And then all of a sudden you expand that. You're like, you know what? We also want to incorporate travel. So then you start doing travel and trying drinks places. Now you're doing bar reviews, and then from there you start reviewing the food, and now you're like doing food reviews, and then you try making some of those food review recipes at your own home, and now you're doing recipes too. So like you can do that sort of niche drift very slowly, and I think that that's a great way to actually expand your blog traffic.
So fantastic. So we've coined a number of terms here that you guys people are requesting t-shirts. We need a content trees t-shirt. We need a niche drift t-shirt. So Courtney Odell is saying, can you talk more about that niche or niche drift, Josh? I started writing about everything and now just food and travel. I've had people really concerned I am hurting traffic by not being niche specific. Can you weigh in on being able to have more than one niche or niche and be successful?
Yeah, I mean, I think Morgan hits on it quite a bit with this idea of excluding blog posts from your homepage or your RSS. You can grow your blog on the back of Google searches and kind of invite people into your community. So like I would say to expand on what I was saying earlier about treating your blog like two audiences, I think you can very much view one side of your audience as your community, and you're the shepherd of that community. You need to decide what it is. You're curating content for them, and you're self-curating. Like you're curating your own content. You're looking at everything you write and you say, is this good for the community that I've built, or is this other thing good for the community I've built? And then if it is, then you send it out. If it's not, maybe you hide it and bury it, and then let other people on Google find it, because it's good content, but it's not in the niche that the community maybe you've built has come to love. So that it depends on the niche. Also, there are things that people are very strongly communal about. I don't know, maybe that's travel, something like that. Maybe that's I don't know, going in and looking at state parks if you're like a hiking blog, right? And maybe they don't want to hear about recipes, but there's a possibility that you do recipes and then you build a sort of secondary community of people who are liking the recipe content. You just have two sort of communities that you're working in. Like, it's hard to balance audiences, but if you can do it, then that means that you can grow your audience in your blog in some kind of cool ways. So is it better to then, if you're a hiking blog and you want to write about food, can you then say the best food to have before you go hiking? Can you say the best food to take with you while you're hiking to stick in your backpack? Right. Like, you could do gorp recipes and stuff like that. Like protein bar recipes and types of, you could start out with that kind of content. So you can, I think that an audience is a little bit upset when they're shocked by something. They come to your blog for hiking, and they get there and they see 5 posts about the muffins that you made last night, which have nothing to do with hiking, but really they were just trying to find, something to, a trail to hike in Oklahoma or something like that. Like that for them would be a little shocking. So, if you ease them into it and have posts that are a little tangential and that they're not so out of the ordinary, but also something that they can relate to and they would find use from, you can kind of start to slowly expand your niche that way. And there may only be so far you can go. You may only be able to do hiking related foods on that brand if you want to maintain that audience. Or you might say, you know what, the Google audience is so big that I'm going to kind of say goodbye to that audience and let those who fall off.
But that's again thinking about how people are consuming your content. You've got the 2 audiences that we were talking about earlier. Are these the people that are you trying to cultivate and grow your people? And maybe that has to do with what your end result that you're looking for. If you're looking to sell products or sell courses to these people that are your people, that you're growing this group, this cultivated group, that's one goal. If you're just wanting to get as broad of traffic as you can and make ad revenue from those people.
This goes to the name of our show. I mean, it's a theory of content. I'm not really it's not so much about SEO as it is about how you make it and why.
It's about SEO, Josh.
There is a lot of SEO stuff, but the reason it's important is because you have to make some business decisions when you're making content, right? Mm-hmm. And you might want. I am always experimenting with things so that I often will even do blogs where I'll do things badly so I can see what kind of effects they have. So I have little secret projects. I have a little Beanie Baby blog, for example, that I experiment with just to kind of see. I wanted to see what kind of traffic was in that space. Try things out. And it's not a good blog. It's I just trying a few things out, just trying to experiment. I don't have a theme on it. But I've just done a little bit of work, and that's an experiment. But if I wanted to turn something into a business, I could expand it into a whole thing about collectibles and hire a designer and all sorts of things, and then build communities within it about Cabbage Patch Kids and Beanie Babies and all sorts of other types of little things. And you look at something like All Recipes, they're not a site with a real community. Right? People just kind of end up on their site.
Yeah. I'm looking for chicken noodle soup and I ended up here. I'm not following every single day to find out.
So they make a ton of money. So there are good reasons to do sites without community, sort of an eye toward the community, and with just kind of tons and tons of random garbage content. There's a really good business case for someone to do that. That's probably not why you're writing. That's probably not why you're here and doing it.
So if you think for a second we're glossing over the fact that you just dropped the Beanie Baby blog on us, we're not. And the people are commenting and they're freaking out and they're thinking, I'm just going to let that move forward and I'm not going to just let that go. So do you have a favorite Beanie? Do you own Beanie Babies? I think.
Yeah. I have a lot of Beanie Babies. I'm a collector. I have.
Do you want to buy some Beanie Babies? Because I have a lot too.
I have a ton too as well. I had a Beanie Baby house.
They're probably not great Beanie Babies though.
Mine? What does that mean?
Oh my gosh, that's so great.
Most people started collecting Beanie Babies after they were popular. So, they don't have any of the rare ones.
So is that what makes a Beanie Baby great, or is it love, Josh? I feel like you're making value judgments on people's Beanie Baby love.
Love makes them less valuable because they were hugged and used.
Wow.
No, they got tag protectors.
All my Beanie Babies are in acrylic cases with tag protectors.
So okay. So yeah, there's a lot. So you are a Beanie Baby. There's a Beanie Baby investor, and then there's a Beanie Baby enthusiast, a lover, just a real person. I love these Beanie Babies, and you're doing it for their value. You don't want to depreciate the Beanie Baby.
Well, no, I mean they have no value anymore. That's that's the big secret.
Have you examined? Have you looked into this?
I mean, I know how much they're worth. You can get the old ones. This is the thing about collecting; it's all nostalgia for me, because when you're a kid, you're looking at it, you're like, okay, an Inky, the octopus without a mouth and who's gray and has a first edition tag is worth $4,000, and then you're an adult and the no one cares anymore, and now you're like, I can get that thing for $80. I'm gonna do that.
$80 still seems like a lot.
That's some money that
give mine away.
Yeah,
it's true. You could put them on a street in a box and see if
most of the ones that you probably have are worth $2 on average.
Harsh. I'm sorry. Amy Sugarman just asked if someone could redirect me. Ouch.
Ow.
All right.
Harsh. Okay, well, we're gonna go back to the questions here. Amy Sugarman, who is on my poop list. So let's talk about here. Dawn Monroe let's talk about photos for a second. Dawn Monroe wants to know how she should be labeling photos. Is it necessary to fill in the title, alt text, and description for each photo in the post? Should this be the same for each field? Let's talk to Josh, and then we'll go to Morgan on that.
Yeah, I mean, like, you should definitely do the alt and description stuff. I mean, like, it's for hearing impaired originally, but it's also how Google knows what's in the image. It's how to turn your text, your image into text. And sure, they're doing a lot of work on trying to figure out what's in images by just like processing them. But algorithms are really dumb. So it's just better, make it easy. The whole thing about like all of this is making it easy for Google. That's why you make your site speed fast. That's why you make your pages accessible. That's why you care about a nav bar that's coded correctly. It's just to make it easier so that Google doesn't have to do things like go to a website and say, hey, let's decipher what this person meant to do with this really, really crappy layout.
But with all things that we encourage you to do, that also makes it better for your audience, the user
100%.
experience. You're making it easier. It's not just Google. Like, you don't want to just think that you're building a site for your bot, the robot.
I agree. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if you're like the reason SEOs do that stuff and the reason they affect rankings slightly is because it just makes it easier for Google. Google incidentally thinks that those things are better for your user, and they seem to be. Users really like them. Yeah, but when you're looking at SEO and people are concerned with it, generally they're just concerned with the ranking, right? And they're trying things out. But these things do actually help your audience as well.
Yeah, all I'll say on that is that I encourage you to go in Google Search Console and you can filter to see images that you are ranking for. And that will give you some proof of where you titled things and they're ranking for those words. I have a lot of people that come to my blog every day from an image search. So depending on your niche, that might be how people are. Just think about how users are using Google. They might be looking for pictures of fall mantles, and there they see my fall mantle, and that's how they get to my site. So it's definitely worth your time to fill those fields in.
I'm going to jump in here quickly and say, so Josh, those are for visually impaired, not hearing impaired. I think.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's fine. Lisa Sharp has been just keeping us on track. She's keeping us all honest. And Lisa is absolutely right, which she just reiterated what Morgan said, which is we all have more visually impaired readers than you think, and it makes a real difference to use alt text correctly and help them out.
And here's the thing, like alt text, honestly, like you're putting in a one sentence description of the thing that you have in an image. Like, come on. Like you just wrote a whole blog post. You can spend the 3.5 seconds to do that. That's not hard. That's free content. And often images rank really well and get like traffic. Depends on what the image is.
So Morgan, I'm going to jump in. I want to do this. We're running out of time, which is not surprising. And it is all my fault because I derailed this with the Beanie Baby talk. But I want to get back into where are the best places to get, other than Google itself, which we have linked to and Josh mentioned, where are the best resources for SEO knowledge for all the things that you're talking about here? Where are the best places to go get knowledge on this? Morgan, where can you direct people to?
To get SEO knowledge, I mean, just listening to the Theory of Content podcast. I also listen to the Authority Hacker podcast. It's a little bit more, they're targeting people who have affiliate sites and run traffic that way. And they have French accents, so you have to kind of be okay with that. But it's a lot of good information, and it's a lot more regular than the Theory of Content. Those weekly podcasts.
Ouch. Oh,
sick burn.
But then the best thing you can do is just get in and try. You can read, but you're not going to learn until you try. Download Google Search Console and learn at least the base level of your site. See where you are, what's ranking, what pages are ranking. Play with all the different fields. You can't break anything in there, y'all. It's okay. Like, don't be afraid to click buttons and get comfortable with where you stand, because you'll never know how you're growing or what's going up and down if you don't know where you start.
Also, Morgan, I was trying really hard to give you a good segue to your own course, and you just completely went over your own course. So let's bring up your course, which would be very helpful for people.
So my course is all about keyword research, and it came from the fact that I just figured out that I need to start writing posts that people actually want to read. So you might be doing a project, making a recipe, going on a trip, whatever you do, you're just writing blog posts about it. And I'm so happy for you. That's so great. And if you're just writing a blog for your mom and for your friends from college and for people to keep up with you, then you do you. But if you're here, I bet you want to make money. And the way to make money is to get eyeballs. And to get those eyeballs, you have to have people that are looking for what you've got. And so what you need to do is strategically write content that people are actually searching for. So my course shows you how to find keywords. Y'all are sweet. But it's just something, I'm in a mastermind and we take turns going Facebook Live with each other. And I showed how I did keyword research and they all were just like, oh, it's mostly free tools. I talk about SEM Rush, but it's totally not necessary. I talk about Google Search Console, keywords everywhere, the keyword shitter, Pinterest, and YouTube. All things that you can use for free to do keyword research to find not only your blog post title, but also your subheadings, the layout of your blog post. And I love putting FAQs at the end of a blog post that are just questions people also ask. And so in my course, I show, it is a screen recording exactly where I click. I do a sample research on each of those tools, exactly click by click what you do. It's not my face at all. It's just clicking. And then I also talk about where you can put those keywords once you find them.
So we are about to drop all of those links in there. Someone is asking, is this pre-recorded? No, Ethan, it is not.
Yes, it is, Ethan.
Joshua.
We were predicting that you would say this. So
yeah, that's how mind-blowing our ability is. We predicted that you would say, yeah. I also live wanted to call myself out on my Beanie Baby fixation. So I wanted all those things to happen. So Marissa Moore wants to know, what is the name of the podcast that Morgan mentioned? It is Authority Hackers. We are also going to share the links for Morgan's keyword research tool. Josh, can you name some of your favorite educational resources?
Honestly, for most bloggers, I think that the Google Starter Guide, the SEO Starter Guide, is the best thing that you can possibly start with. And really, as far and as deep as you need to go. If you want to go deeper, that's why we have Theory of Content. We're trying to, we touch, a lot of the source, the sort of surface stuff. I don't think most of y'all need to know industry news and the day-to-day weather reports of how many rankings are going up and down today. I think that stuff can get you really, really distracted from your job. And Don Jackson just noted in the live comments.
He did. I was about to call that out.
Let me say that Morgan just threw some shade at Theory of Content about how often we publish. Well, Morgan, we're currently on hiatus. And the reason is because we're bringing in Don to start producing the show and actually give us the ability to do weekly, regular content. Because
it's fine. I just think it's ironic that the guy that says content can't seem to get out any content.
Yeah, well, the beauty. It's difficult because Theory of Content to date has sort of been this labor of love that Amber and I do. We do it to help the community, and we really love to do it. But the problem is that it is secondary to our day jobs, and we, like I was saying to them earlier, that I'm the audio engineer, which is why the audio is so terrible sometimes, and we would
really
like.
Lisa Sharp.
Yeah,
Lisa Sharp just said you're busy with your Beanie Babies.
Yeah.
I will say that if you I'm jumping in because I can. Morgan, I love that you're shading Josh, who is now trying to be all hurt and guys, it's a labor of love and blah 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 blah. No, Josh throws shade all the time, so you are totally justified in throwing the shade that you're throwing right now. I love it.
That's true.
Beyond that, yes, they are going to be producing more episodes. And the only reason that people are on your backs is because they love it and it's a great resource. And that's the only reason people are saying that. So.
And we love to do it. So that's the thing. We figured out, we kind of sat down, figured out what it is that our sort of barriers to being able to do weekly podcasts are. And so we're removing the stuff we don't like to do, removing some of that work. And we will be coming up with regular stuff and actually, doing some ads, I imagine, are probably going to get added to it. So, I mean, the podcast is ironic in more than one way, in that the guy that says do content doesn't do content, and the girl that works for an ad network has no ads on on the content that she's making. So we are fixing both ironies at once, and we are going to come out with a new, improved, but still the same theory of content very soon.
Same great information, less horrible sound issues.
Yeah, less horrible sound.
I will be your marketing for you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So just and then in addition to all of that, we do have a wonderful. So Don Jackson, who is with the Raven Media Group, who happens to produce podcasts, also did a Teal Talk with me talking about producing podcasts. So we can share that information as well, and we can have that available to you guys that are wanting to start podcasts. So we're solving so many issues. Deborah Cruz is saying she needs Morgan's course link. I believe we've already shared it. Let's share it one more time. We want everyone to have access to her amazing resources. What else? We do have, everyone is listening. Oh, wait. Will Nichols said he figured it out. Since Josh is a spirit, he clearly has all the Beanie Babies for some variety and the bodies he takes over. Yes. We're getting existential on this. We've 1 hour. We've packed a lot into this hour, you guys.
Actually live in the Beanie Babies at night.
Inhabits the Beanie Babies. This is creepy. Kelly Pugliano just said her site ain't broke, which is Josh's tagline. We love that. We're going to share all of these things in here. Dawn said, thanks for the plug. Carmen just shared the teachable resource for the simple SEO keyword research course by Morgan. You guys, this has been a little bit scattered, and I apologize for that, but there's been so much amazing information shared in here. I am so appreciative of you guys coming and spending time with us here. Thank you so much. You guys are both geniuses. I knew that you both were, but you proved it to me. You've also proven you're a little bit freaky, Josh, which I also already knew, but you gave me absolute evidence of that today. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, we have our hobbies, all of us.
All have hobbies, and rather than creating
as far as hobbies go, mine's very innocent.
It is creating a website about Beanie Babies.
I'm just trying it out.
There's a lot of vulnerability that you allowed us all to see that side of you. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you so much, and thank you for. You guys are awesome. And will you come back sometime, both of you together?
Only if Morgan's on.
Mm-hmm. Bring the Beanie Babies.
I just said, Josh. If you'll listen. Words I said both of you come back together. Would you both come back together?
Sorry, what?
Hey, I'm going to the Mediavine conference in November. Should I bring my Beanie Babies?
Yeah.
For the trade?
Are those for carry-ons? Can you bring Beanie Babies as carry-ons?
They might confiscate them because they're so valuable.
You might want to get some armored guards to walk with you through the airport to make sure that you aren't attacked.
Definitely.
It is funny. I talk to younger people nowadays, and like these little stuffed animals are complete anomalies to them. They have no idea what they are, and they don't know what it was like to live through that craze. It was very funny back in the day when I watched people punch each other in the alleys to get Spooky the Ghost.
I'm gonna doubt you that you were watching people. It's like West Side Story. We could do a Broadway musical about people, rival gangs fighting.
Good idea.
Yeah, I think that's true. Will Nichols wants to know how much you charge for Beanie Baby appraisal.
You know what, Will? I'll do it for free. Just send me the pictures, and I'll tell you that they're worth nothing. Unless they're worth something, then I'll tell you they're probably worth a little bit. But I'm pretty good at it. I would actually not be bad at that.
He's serious.
Moving on.
Yeah, we're good. Okay, guys, we can't move on. We got to go, but we've shared all of your links. We know that we're going to have more theory of content coming. We've got Morgan's course. We've given you a ton of resources. My guests are amazing. Thank you so much. What am I talking about next week? I'm verklempt because of all of this Beanie Baby talk.
They're all about beanies.
I know. People are going crazy about this Beanie Baby thing, and Amy Sugarman was like, "Move on," and the viewers were like, "No, talk about Beanie Babies." The next summer of live, you guys, is going to be awesome as well. I know it's going to be hard to top this week, but next week we are talking about unlocking your RPM. It is part 2. Last summer, I had Courtney Odell and Amy Sugarman on to talk about their the ways that they increase their RPM. Next week, I have Dorothy from Crazy for Crust blog, and I also have Lance Cothern of Money Manifesto to two crazy RPM experts. We're really excited about it. I believe that's next week. I'm going to check on that. They are still talking about Beanie Babies, guys. That's not going to stop. So I'm going to have to close this conversation down. I sure appreciate you guys coming. Thank you, Morgan. You're amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, Josh. You're all right.
All right. Love you all.
Love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Bye, you guys.
Bye.